Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Money in the Law with your host, Jay Marsden.
And he's John Drohan.
That's me, and we are coming to you on Saturday morning, right in the middle. We're at the tail end of Hanukkah.
Yes,
and
we are.
And we are at the right in the middle of Christmas. So we're in the holiday season, and it's Saturday, so even more holiday-type season stuff happens on Saturdays.
Yeah, Saturday's a big, there's a lot going on. Usually a party, maybe an event, maybe some type of...
There's definitely a party
that
I wasn't invited to, but yeah,
for all the obvious
party.
reasons. Yep, for all the obvious reasons.
In fact, I thought I was invited to a party when you sent me that text the other day. When you asked the referral to the dinner invitation by some random financial planner.
We can talk about that if you want.
And all I saw on the thing was that I saw on my
dinner
text,
invite.
I just saw dinner with a question mark, and I'm like, is he really inviting me over for dinner? I mean, how nice. I mean, my wife was away, and I'm like, I didn't have anything to do.
It's been 5 years.
I should have. You know what? I should have just shown up.
You should say, yeah, name the place.
I should have just been like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
and
I'm in.
And bring a bottle of wine and maybe some dessert.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so,
all right, so that is an invitation.
Yeah, whenever you want to get dinner.
Right,
whenever you want to get dinner. Whenever you want to get dinner. By the way, speaking of dinner, speaking of food stuffs, I had the very good fortune the other day I took my daughter out, opened up a bank account for her for the first time, right? And we've joked about this before in the show, right? There's so many things, you watch your kids as you get older. There's so many things that you do that you just take for granted, right? Getting gas in your world is a non-event. If I said to you, hey, what did you do today? You would not turn getting gas into a 25-minute story.
That wouldn't be on my list.
That wouldn't even make the list, right?
Right.
It's a non-event, right? It's like getting up and breathing, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, of course I get gas today. Well, so so for the longest time, she's got her license, she's driving now, so she's trying to figure out like how does she pay for stuff, right? Because usually dad's right there with this cash in hand on one of them plastic cards, right? So now we said, look, we got to get her own setup. So took her to the bank. Got her all hooked up, and and then of course you figure out the whole we want to attach this account to this account, so now there's only a certain way they can set the account up, and whether you're on the account, all this other stuff that you forget, right?
There's a lot of minutia that goes into it.
Well, there's a lot more than there used to be. The last time you might have opened up your bank account where you kind of walked in and they were like, yeah, what's your name? Here you go. Sign here. How much money do you want to deposit?
Make one up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now in this post 9/11 world, it's a little bit of a different process. So they go in and they ask her all her information. And so now, remember, they're going to say to her, you need to set up a PIN number. And she's looking at me like, what? A PIN number.
Baffled.
And you need a user ID. And then you need a password, right? And you need all these things, right? And she's got, obviously she's a lot younger than me, so her brain can hold on to all this stuff, right? Dad's like, oh man, I forgot. I hate setting up a PIN number for anything. And she's got to you think about it. You're picking potentially the PIN number for the rest of your life, right? That's
this
right.
Could be
this is it, right? Yeah. You're 85 years old. You're punching in that PIN number.
Because there's got to be something you retain, right?
Yes.
Think about it, right? Like, everybody remembers their first phone number and their first house,
that's right. That's
you
right.
remember that 7-digit phone number.
And for some of you kids out there, that's right. It's 7 digits, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't always 10, right?
No.
For a lot of kids, it's and if you go back a little bit further, it's what was your first phone number? Pennsylvania 65000, right? It was not it wasn't even a number in there.
Right.
It was an exchange.
Remember when all of Massachusetts was 617?
Oh,
yeah, the area.
Heaven.
They didn't care what I'm in Massachusetts.
And then the news comes out. Hey, guess what? You're getting you ever see that Seinfeld episode where she goes and gets a 516 versus a 212 number, and you laugh about it. And back then it was like
it was a big deal.
508. You're in the 508.
Yeah.
Where do you live? Right? Like I live 781. 781. What are you in Methuen?
Yeah.
781? No, I'm in Malden. Really? That sounds
impossible.
It sounds far away.
Impossible.
So we did that. So the point of us, we did that, and where did we go afterwards to celebrate? Opening up a new bank account.
Someplace where Dad could get a beer on tap.
Went to the Depot Tavern, right? The Depot Tavern for lunch, and they were transitioning from the brunch portion of the day to the lunch portion of the day.
It was a Saturday?
It was a Saturday, and I tell you,
that's fun.
We caught the wave, and I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. If you haven't put it on your list of things to do, unlike gas, you will remember the experience.
These guys aren't a sponsor.
They are not. I wish they were. I really wish they were.
I mean, we sponsor them.
Yeah, we do. So put it on. If you are looking for a phenomenal place to grab lunch or dinner, Depot's
You
out
know
in
what?
Milford.
You know what? I'll say it
can't
right.
be a bigger
I'll
fan.
say it
Can't
on
be a
the
bigger
air.
fan.
We need to go, and I mean, I think, of course, we're plugging this on Holliston Cable Access TV. So if you live in Holliston, it's not that far away. But
Well, we have a new restaurant coming to Holliston that we will also be promoting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
don't
yeah,
you worry.
yeah.
Don't you worry. That's a February after the first of the year plan.
Not too far from the offices.
No,
either.
no. We'll be talking about that extensively come New Year's.
You mentioned something which always cracks me up is like that up until like when your kids get like some sort of bank, some bank apparatus, right? Some sort, they're always broke, right? But to them, it's not a big deal. It's like they're literally, you're walking around, you're paupers. They never have any money, right? They never have any, hey, I need to get some. And it's just like, Dad, can you put some money in my hand?
Oh, by the way, they know the entire transaction except the paying part, right?
Yeah.
They'll shop, they'll do whatever. They walk all the way up. They literally walk the ball right into the glove, right? They walk up, they give it to the person behind the counter.
Yeah.
The person behind the counter rings it up, and then they
have this classic sidestep. It's like perfect. Like, whoa, let me get my dad up here.
That's right. Clear out.
Come on in. Yeah, there you go.
Everybody, Jay, this is everybody. Everybody, Jay. Right. I can meet my dad, right? Yeah, that's right. So just a funny weekend. We talk about, the show. We talk about, introducing kids to the concept of money. And my daughter took a wealth management class in high school, so she's, hip to some of the lingo. But the actual mechanics of the process and kind of watching it unfold and watching the person behind the desk say to her, okay, so here's your debit card, and we gotta give you you need all this other stuff, and you just forget stuff that you don't even think twice about. And for her, I'm laughing. I'm like, you're in the system now. You are in the system.
It makes me like I'm holding back tears right
now.
Yeah,
I was the same way.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But here's the downside of that. So when we did it, right, and they got their debit cards, all of a sudden it was like I have money, and this money needs to get spent immediately.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, I got a debit card. I can load it. So I won't mention any specific names of which one of my children unloaded her bank account as soon as it was loaded up. But you may be able, I don't know.
It's a funny process.
If you knew her, you'd be able to guess.
It's a funny process because for those of you who listen to the show who might be in our demographic or older, it didn't work this way. You remember Mom or Dad might have peeled off a 20 on Friday night after the old man come home with a,
so everybody
paycheck,
did it, right? Yeah.
And that was it, right? And you put it upstairs. And you put it upstairs. You hid it somewhere upstairs in your room, right? That was your bank, right? So now, we live in a different world where everyone's Venmoing and Zelling money. And that was the other thing. I said to the guy, so I'm going to move money back and forth between my kid's account, right? I'm just going to be able to do it. He's like, well, you can do it a whole bunch of ways. We suggest you zell it. I'm like, excuse me, what verb are we talking about here? I'm not sure. I don't remember that, right? And then we get into this whole thing, and I'm looking at I'm like, can I just old-fashioned move money from account A to account B? Can we just do it that way?
I will say this: the one thing I do like about with the kids' bank accounts is I am the overall.
Oh, you're the auditor. You're the auditor.
Oh
yeah, you are the auditor.
I see
you're
it
financial
all.
controls.
Yep. And even with my oldest, who's now 21, I hide money from her, and I wouldn't be. She'd be $1 billion in debt right now if it wasn't for me.
Yeah. So I guess the point of this little piece is, and then we can go on to what we're talking about today is, it's a great process to watch unfold. It's hysterical to watch the kids figure out signing their name on legit paperwork and contracts and open up account stuff, and then figuring out, all right, how you're going to work this thing. Is this how you're going to do your automatic monthly transfer in there, and you're going to feed this thing, and then say, look, don't come to me for money. I'm putting it in your account. Or are we going to go old school? You give them the money, or is it going to? What usually happens? It's going to be both, right? You're going to put money in there, and they're still going to shake you down.
No, but it's going to be. They need money. You don't have any cash, and you're like, you got to go to your app. You got to move money from your account into her account. And they know that, and they know how easy it is. They know
that's the thing. Yeah.
Yep, it's like, oh, no problem. They're walking out there like, oh, by the way, I need $50, and you're like, I got to do you know how to do it, Dad.
Yeah,
you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't want cash. If you could have it in the account before I get to the end of the driveway, that'd be super. Because I got plans.
I got to get some gas. Yeah,
that's right. So
right, because then the alternative of that is that your kid runs out of gas because you were like, no, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You need to put right. No.
The lesson is you're going to get up. You're going to drive down Route 16 with a gas can.
Lesson.
That's right. That's your lesson right there.
That's your lesson.
Yeah, siphoning gas out of the lawnmower at that point.
So did you finish all your Christmas shopping yet?
No, I don't. No, we've talked about this before.
Did you get my?
Your gift is easy. Your gift is easy. But I haven't done that. No, that'll be.
That's right. You take your time.
I grudgingly dive into the pool of consumerism that is the Christmas holiday. I grudgingly dive
nothing
into
wrong
it.
with that. There's nothing. You know what? Because it feeds the machine.
That's right.
Yeah, it feeds the machine, and
That's right.
the machines. If the machine doesn't work, then Christmas doesn't work.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly
all right. Well, all right. Well, and Christian, have you done all your Christmas shopping yet?
Yeah,
he's giving the
fair to Midland. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
Speaking of Christian, we haven't welcomed Christian officially today from the Holliston Cable Access
Well,
TV.
for those of you who Christian has not purchased anything yet, you can expect a Coffee Haven gift card coming your way anytime soon.
That's right. Yeah, or an HCAT. What are those? What about those HCAT candy bars that they gave out?
And a gas station card. It's all coming your way. Yeah, go get them, Tiger.
You may get one of those.
Wow, look, wiper fluid. Oh, fantastic.
Just what I needed. Yeah, just what I needed. Anything from 7-Eleven is usually good.
That's right. So what do you want to talk about? There must be something other than me dealing with the idea that I'm getting older and so is my kid. What do you want to talk about?
There is something I want to talk about today.
I
want to talk about savings, but I want to talk about how just some of the fundamental concepts that we kind of will mention on the show, but the idea of. But I want to kind of go in a little more detail and explain them to our audience, just because when we talk about things about like compounding and kind of how that works,
sure, or
tax-free savings versus taxable savings.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the two things I want, and very simple subjects. And for those of you who have who are loyal to the show and who have studied for these quizzes, this will be nothing but a review. But for many of you who don't really know what the rule of 72 is. They don't really understand. They've heard it and they're like, oh yeah, I know 72. You divide this and that, and then you get 72, right? We're going to talk about that, and what that kind of alludes to is just the idea of how we say it a million times. The more you save, the sooner you save, the longer you save, the sooner you start saving for whatever thing that you have that you want to save for, and forever how long, the better you're going to be. And we'll explain part of the reason why that is.
Well, it's funny, real quick, and then we go to a break and get onto that piece of it. But my daughter and I had that conversation, right? So we talked about, look,
how come I don't get called for this?
You've opened up you opened up a bank account now, and now she's doing some babysitting gigs, and she's doing this and she's doing that. And I said to her, look, what you want to do is pick a number, right? Pick a number. Pick a percentage, right? Or pick how much money you think you need to have in your pocket to walk around. So now you're explaining the concept of sort of budgeting and this whole thing. But I said, look, if you do a babysitting job and you walk away with $60, I said, you're going to decide, don't put the whole 60 in your pocket, right? We have the basic. Now, this translates into, as an adult, it's the same thing, right? But at the kid level, you try to, kind of one of those like, instill it right away so it becomes so baked into it, kind of like practice makes, perfect. So I said, look, pull some money out, put some money aside, save it, off to the right, stick it in an envelope and you draw somewhere, right? And then we'll go to the bank, or you can go to the bank, we'll go to the bank, and you could take that money down in the bank and put it in the bank, right? And start getting in this habit of savings, getting in this habit of budgeting, getting this habit of not blowing all your dough, right? So starting to instill that at this age in the hope that at some point down the road, it keeps on, it sticks, right? And that becomes a habit. It becomes a good habit.
But it's a great time to do it because most kids don't have that. They all of their income is disposable.
That's
right.
That's exactly right.
I mean, unless you have some of those really squared away kids that are like paying for their car insurance. And these kids have, they probably have a steady income. But most kids don't have any bills. They don't have anything to spend their money on unless they want to spend it on something for themselves.
Panera. That's all they do.
Exactly, right? So they're not like buying their own lunches at school or anything like that with their own money. So most kids aren't. So so if a kid makes $50 and you say, okay, well, like you said, pick a number. What's a good number? Maybe I want to save, 50% of it. 50% of it I want to save. 50% I want to spend on myself. That's a lot. I like that. I like the 75-25 rule, right?
Yes.
So if I save 75 and spend 25, and then the other thing is they get into this habit. They get into the habit of seeing like, okay, this money right here, this is my money to spend, right?
Yeah.
And just like people who have money taken out of their account or money taken out of their paycheck for their retirement savings, like it's not seen. You don't see it. Like it goes, it's already put into your savings account. So then the money that you're looking at, that's the money that I've spent.
Well, and I'll tell you, if you really want to make an impact, if you really want to impart this to your kid, don't be afraid to say to your kid, I'll match whatever you save. All right? I mean, Matt, pick a number. You match half. I mean, pick a number,
I like
right?
that, matching.
I mean, if you say to your kid, look, if you go to the bank and you put $25 in the bank, right? And in a kid's world, $25 is real money, right?
Sure.
You put $25 in the bank, I'll match it. Because again, you're not going to match. She's not going to walk in and say, "Dad, I just dropped 10 grand from babysitting in my." Now maybe she's been sitting on it since freshman year,
We're
right?
looking for the corporate match right now.
But if you your kid's going to not save big dollars, right? But if you say, look, if this is the concept of doing this is to help you, put a couple of bucks aside. So to your point, put what you saved for yourself, put that aside in your pocket, and then if you go to the bank and you actually put money in the bank, I'll match it. Now, it's better than just a random allowance, right? That just says, here's just money for you to just blow. This is you saying, look, let's work on this together. And then it creates a regular conversation with your kid about finances and money management.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Genius
Jay
idea.
just discovered the 401k concept. We'll talk about that and how he actually came up with a wonderful idea. We're going to actually try and see if we can implement that across businesses across the world when we come back on Money in the Law.
New concept.
The match.
And you're back, Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden, the Marsden
Here's
Law
your
Group.
paperclip.
John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Christian manning the con. Just explaining how there's this concept out there of matching your savings. John pointed out to me during the show that actually that's not that.
It's been picked up.
It's not that inventive. It's actually something that glad you're coming around to it, but good for you.
But the family 401k, there's a new concept,
The
right?
family-
The family 401k.
Now, I'll tell you something. If you really want to get behind the family
crazy.
match, right?
I'm writing it down.
What you do is you open up, what do you open up? You open up my favorite account with your kid.
Say it with me.
Open up a nice brokerage account with your kid, and you say to them, if you really want to save some money, that's where you save some money.
Now we're getting someone.
Now we're going big, right? Now we're going big, right?
Now we're not having this meeting on the couch in front of the TV. We're going to the kitchen table.
That's right. That's exactly right. We might even break out a laptop, right?
Yep,
We're going to put that right on the
guess what?
table.
We're going to put your phone somewhere else because you're going to want to hear this. Yeah.
Yep. And then we're going to say, look, you can take whatever you make to play and spend with. You put that in that debit card account, and then you carve this other money over here. And now we're on our way. Now we're talking.
It's funny. When I was a kid, I had a little extra money saved up for college that I was able to invest. So let's call it, I don't know, maybe $2,000.
Yep.
So I had some money, and of course, as you said, this concept isn't a new concept. So my dad years ago decided he was going to start somewhat of a family 401k. There was no match involved in this one. This is just a straight up 401k that my dad was actually just going to be my financial advisor long before I was ever even close to the business. So all I know is that I gave my dad $2,000, and my dad bought some what I like to call as hot stocks back then. Yeah, and I think one of them was, and of course I don't remember any.
It wasn't Microsoft.
No, it wasn't Microsoft. It wasn't a fruit company. No, it wasn't.
Nope.
It was none of those. It was I think he invested in a company that made Madonna movies, and everybody knows how Madonna, of course,
Material Girl.
She is a legendary artistic icon.
Force of nature.
However, her movies bombed, and that company, of course, they bombed as well. And that was what my investment was in, thanks to my So
it's good to see early adopter to the Madonna craze. It's MOD, by the way, on the Nasdaq
I think it's an ETF. I think
right,
Madonna has her own ETF. Right.
Yep.
So
sometimes it's reported in a Cockney accent, and sometimes it's not, depending on how
all depends
how she's feeling.
Right. All depends what time of day it is.
That's right. That's right.
So the idea of I do love the idea of having this concept of giving kids an incentive to save, right?
Yes.
Giving that incentive to save. So in that light, in that spirit.
Well, and why do you want to save early, right? What is you mentioned it earlier in the show today. What is your friend when you save early and save often?
I get to come what I make, particularly if I'm investing, what I earn in my investments, then gets reinvested. So it's not like I save $100, and if I make $10, I make 10%, and I make $10 on my $100. It's not like I take that $10 out. It's that $10 now becomes $110. It adds to my pot, right?
Principal, yep.
That's right. And now I have $110, and now that is invested, and so on and so forth. And then if my investments perform, then I will, in fact, make far more money than if I just invested that $100, took the gain, and then didn't reinvest. So that power of that concept of compounding is what I want to talk about today. That's what I want to start with today.
All right.
All right. So those of you who have heard us mention this before, and probably anyone who has ever talked to anybody in the finance world has talked about has heard the rule of 72. So the rule of 72 is this kind of cool, hip catchphrase thing that's been around the financial services business forever. Rule of 72, all it means is that it's a way to measure how long it's going to take for you to double your money, right? Right? That's how long it's going to take. So and what you do is you have whatever your interest rate, whatever your interest that you're earning, or whatever percentage your gain that you're earning on a particular sum of money, if you divide that by 72, then that's how many years, kind of in rough estimate, that's how many years it will take for you to double your money. So, for instance, in the case, we'll use a simple example. So if I have $10,000, and I'm earning 10% return on my $10,000, how long will it take for me? Ooh. How long will it take for me to double my money?
Years.
To get 20? How many?
100 years.
No, not 100 years. So think about
sure?
it. I'm pretty sure.
Write it down. We're doing like long division. I think you're carrying the ones
okay.
the right way.
All right. So obviously you're not using the rule of 72.
Oh, okay.
If you were to use the rule of 72, you would take that interest rate of 10% and you would divide it by 72.
Oh, okay.
Now if I divide that by 72, now what happens? How many years does it take for it to?
100 years.
No, it doesn't take. It doesn't.
No,
it's 7.2 years. All right. So it will. So if I'm getting 10% over this period of time, then my money through compounding, my money will double from 10,000 to 20,000 in 7.2 years. So you can try it with any interest rate. You can try it. So if let's say instead of earning 10%, I'm earning 6%. What will I get?
12.
It will take 12 years for me to double my money.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a quick reference. So when someone says, "Well, this is what interest rate I'm getting. This is the return that I'm getting on my investment," you can pull out your rule of 72 and you can apply it to anything. So how long will it take for this to double?
But to follow up on that, so we've talked about this on the show a million times, but you need to apply a degree of reality to your calculations, right? Because yes, we can all say, well, look, if I think I'm going to earn 10% a year, then that's great. Then my money's going to double in 7.2 years. But what really is the probability, or what's the reality that your account might earn 10% a year?
10% exactly per year for 7.2 years.
Yep, that's right.
The probability is, there is.
I'm not saying it can't happen.
Oh, no,
I'm just saying from a probability perspective,
it can happen.
Realistic perspective.
I think there may be I think there's some more probable things to happen.
Sure.
Right. Like that I don't know, 500 ships in the ocean will all bump into each other at the same time.
Good point. Yep.
I think the probability that there will be 8 million butterflies that will fly into this room in the next 10 minutes.
Land on the head of a pin?
Stuff like that. Those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of probabilities that you're kind of running with. You and I win the lottery at the same time, the exact same amount, twice in a row.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
probabilities.
The probability of that happening is right up there with you getting, for 7.2 years, an exact 10% return.
Well, and the reason, I don't mean to harp on the issue, but the reason the issue is important is when you talk about savings, when you talk about power of compounding, when you talk about goals and objectives, people will come in and they will start out right from Jump Street with somewhat outlandish assumptions.
Yeah, but where do they get those from, right?
Well,
think about it.
That's right. Well, that's right. They get them from some, snake oil person who's selling them, crazy ideas about, here's what you can do, and here's, these are usually the television shows that you wake up to when you fall asleep on the couch at 3 a.m. and somebody tells you what gold has done over the last
after truck driving
1,000
school.
years. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So you go from Sharknado to, gold, invest in gold on the same channel, and you start to think to yourself, all right, I can do that, right? Or this used to come up all the time when people would talk. They would mix up the concept of total return and income, right? They would come in the door and they'd say, look, I need to get, I need 11% a year in income to live my life. I know that the Fidelity Magellan Fund has averaged this over a 10-year period, so I can get 11%. And we'd have to say wrong, and let's, so the idea of, the Rule 72, while wildly helpful and wildly, useful as some type of guidepost, the concept of the reality of what you're going to do, that starts to become a part of. It has to be part of that discussion.
Sure. Because if again, all I want to do is I want to get an idea. I want to get an idea of, and really, what I'll use this for is what kind of return do I need to start looking at, right? So, and it all kind of works from and you mentioned it earlier in the show when you say pick a number, right? Pick a number that I want to get to, right? And we get this all the time in retirement planning. What's the number I need? How much money do I need in order to be able to retire? What's my magic number? So if it's $1 million, right? So if you say I feel like I need $1 million. That's what I'm going to need to that I'll be able to retire with any other income that I have and my budget and my costs. I need $1 million. So, and I have $500,000 right now in whatever all my savings accounted added up. And then I say, so now I'm like, look, I have to double my money. So in like simple math terms, if I use the rule of 72 and I say, okay, how many years do I have? If I have 10 years, right? Let's say, so we just use the simple math. So if I have 10 years, right? If I have 10 years to get to it, then what's my return? So what do I have to be able to make on average, right, per year in order to meet that goal? Again, with taking out all the other variables and all the other the life things that are going to happen. I might need to take money here. Something may happen with there may be some time where I have to draw money out of the account. There may be something where I may not be able to contribute, or there may be something with the market is going to go do something crazy. All those things are taken into consideration. But at least by doing that, I'll get a general idea of what return I need to try to shoot for.
Yep.
Because then that will change kind of where, if let's say for example I needed $1 million and I have $950,000 and I have 10 years and I'm very risk averse. Do I have to try and get a 5 or 6 or 7% return? I don't.
No, you've already, in some respects you'd say you've already won the game. You're going to get there by hook or by crook. But the other piece of it is, to your point, somebody might say, look, I need to get to $1 million in 10 years, or I need to double my money in 10 years. And then you tell them the amount of risk that is required to do that, and they might say, stand off. No, I'm not comfortable with that.
Stand off.
I can't tolerate that type of risk and volatility. Losing this money means more to me than getting to the next event, right? The next where I'm going to use this money. And at some point, you have to start dialing down the amount of money, dialing down the risk in your portfolio, because 4 or 5 years out from when you're going to need this money, you have to start dialing down the volatility. And so if you think you're going to get 7% a year, that may not happen in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years of your goal, of your window. So you got to build that in on the front end, and it just may not work out. It may not work to your advantage.
Well, it's all timing, right? It's all timing, is because if somebody was getting ready to retire, and let's say my retirement date was 1 January 2009, and I had, and my plan was that I was going to needed to get 7% per year. So that means if I'm trying to get 7% per year, then I'm investing in stocks. I'm investing in.
You get some
if I'm
exposure.
in the stock market, I have some significant equity exposure because I need to. The S&P is anywhere between 9 and 11% average, right? On average, but I have to kind of.
But that's a 100% stock portfolio, which somebody might not be able to swing.
Oh no! Make no mistake about it. So let's say I'm even in like a 65% or 70% stock portfolio in 2007, right? 2007, in July of 2007, I'm king of the hill. I'm
loving life.
Right. I'm like, maybe I'll retire a little bit earlier. And then, oh, by the way, what happens? Like the perfect storm of the real estate market, and we have the big financial crash. And the next thing you know, my portfolio is, the S&P gets cut in half.
Yeah.
And my portfolio goes right down with it. So if I might not get cut in half, but if I drop, 35%, that changes things. So it's all about
and just to put numbers to it, this is going to sound crazy. If you were banking on $1 million portfolio and you're ready to go, and it's one of those like, it's 3 o'clock and I got to run off for lunch. I'll do the trades tomorrow to kind of wrap this all up. Boom, right? Your $1 million goes to 600. Okay, you got to go home and say, I'm not sure we're getting the amount of money we had talked about. And by the way, if that was your plan, that money coming out of the market has no chance to rebound if there is a rebound.
That's right.
Once you start pulling money out of the market, that's it. That's not there to work for you. It's not there to be compounded against to then grow your portfolio.
Well,
some
you
more.
said it. You said it. You said, well, I may not be able to take. I may not be able to stomach losing that kind of money, right? But what that translates to is, I only lose the money once I cash it out.
That's right.
Right. So the law. I don't assume if I own Apple stock, right, and Apple stock goes from $200 a share to $100 a share, and I still own the Apple stock, I haven't lost any money yet, right?
No, not at all.
I haven't lost.
It's on paper.
So if I own 1,000 shares of Apple stock, goes from 200 to 100, I still own Apple stock, right? Now, if I sell at 100. Guess what? I just assumed that whole entire loss. I realized the loss, right?
Yeah.
Now, depending upon when I bought it, but I at one point I was at 200, and and that's what my account read, and now I'm at $100 a share, and I sell. Now that's a realized loss. But even more importantly, it's the idea of I can't stomach the loss because that loss translates, because again, we're only talking about money here, right? It's just money. However much money you have, that's all. What that translates to is how it affects your life, right? So if this is retirement income, if this is money that I'm going to use for retirement, and all of a sudden my retirement income, my retirement bucket goes from $1 million to $650,000, that means that based on my current glide path, then I'm not going to make it. It's like I'm in an airplane, right? And the airplane, the fuel meter says, okay, you need a half a tank of gas in order to fly from, you're flying from Hawaii to the Philippines or to Australia. And guess what? You only have a quart of a tank.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it.
Shortfall.
You're not going to make it. So what has to happen? You have to change your plan.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, guess what? We need to land somewhere sooner than that, right?
Yeah.
Or we need to do something different. We need to.
I need everybody to start throwing chairs that don't have a body in them right now out the window. We need to lighten this puppy up,
right.
So we change it. So the same thing in your retirement plan, right? We were going to do these things. Now we have to jettison these ideas out the window because it's not going to work for us.
And let's say, right? And so let's say here we are. We're flying across the ocean, and there's nowhere to land, right? We are going to run out of gas. We have two options. We can either crash, or we can try to do a nice water landing. Those always work. Yeah. Or we can do a mid-air refuel, right? Those are dangerous. Yeah. Those are crazy.
That's right.
Sometimes they work. Sometimes, if you ever seen The Perfect Storm, they do it at night, right, with helicopters, and it's insane, right?
It's always windy and rainy, and nobody can see anything.
It's one of the things. It's one of the most remarkable, insane things. Whoever came up with that concept is like, they're
refuel.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's the same person that decided, hey, you know what? I got an idea. If I put this big sheet and I tie some strings to it or some rope to it, and I put it in a backpack, and I jump out of this plane and I pull it before I hit the ground, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, I will land gently and walk away.
Right, because someone did that first, right? Here I go. I'm going. This is going to work.
This is going to work. I tried this in the garage. It didn't work, but I just have to go. But the answer was go higher. If you go higher, it'll work better.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
So you do this, quote unquote mid-air refuel, which means that you're going back to work. You need to put more money into your account.
Yeah.
You need, or you get even crazier, and you're like, hey, listen, what I need to do is I need to be even more aggressive, or I need to assume even more risk, which has a whole.
That's a whole nother. That's one of those books that you're reading where you get to pick the ending, right? And that's the one where if your answer at this point in the book is to become more aggressive with your portfolio, go to page 84.
Yeah.
And you go to 84 and you see what happens, right? And there could be some great things, then there could be some bad things, right? Because that next chapter is going to be market goes through the roof. Go to page 110. Market falls through the floor. Go to page 150, and you're like, whoa, bad outcomes. Let's play them all out.
Because what at that point, your risk, it's no longer a risk, it's a gamble. So and now I'm gambling. Now it's like when I decide I'm going to go from risk to greater risk in the hopes of, and again I'm using hope as a course of action here, in the hopes of getting back to where I was. Now I'm gambling. Now it's it's the same thing as taking money out and going down to Mohegan Sun and saying, okay, I'm going to start putting some money on some roulette wheels. I'm going to start playing some blackjack because I'm going to gamble, hoping that I win.
Sit down. Let's fund some retirement now. Sit down. Let's see how we do it. Yep.
I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of $20 scratch tickets, and something's going to hit. And then we'll be okay.
Yep, maybe.
And how many people have done that? I can't even begin to guess. And how many times has it worked? can probably put it on. I could probably say it on one hand.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah. If that.
All right. So let's take a quick break. You want to take a break?
Great idea.
No,
I'm not even
tired.
Exhausted. You seem
no?
No.
What are you talking about?
All right. We'll take a quick break just to give you a chance anyway. We charge you back.
We'll be right back.
Collect your thoughts.
Money and the law. Money and the law.
Money, and it's always money for us. I know.
Not always.
Back in a minute. And you're back. Money and the Law, My FM 101.3. He is John Drohan, the Main Effort Financial Group. I'm Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. Here with Christian, talking about savings, talking about it's a bit of a potpourri of topics today. You know, it's kind of like a Christmas grab bag of ideas. And what is Shaughnessy writes that article? I was just thinking. Then he goes down like 80 things he's been looking to like get off his chest. You know, kind of the same idea, right? Talking about some retirement savings, talking about a whole bunch of stuff, but all relevant as always, and always expressed in an idea that we hope makes a little bit more sense than it might be if you're sitting in one of those seminars where they're talking at about 80,000 feet over your head about alpha and portfolio volatility measures and standard deviation and all that other crazy stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's really about saving your money and investing your money.
That's right.
That's really what it's all about.
That's right. And the only difference between if you go to one of those seminars is that probably feed you. So if you're eating something right now, then great. Then you're it's like you are at a seminar in the comfort of your own car or your own home. Even better if you are getting ready to do your Christmas tailgate. You're tailgating for something. A lot of people will.
At the mall.
If you're having a Christmas tailgate at the mall right now, call us up. We're happy to come down and further explain anything. So long as we get some type of like Christmas bratwurst and
as long as there's a Christmas, I'm not going to say Christmas meal. I'm going to say a Christmas barbecue.
Christmas barbecue.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Why haven't we sponsored?
Do you guys grill a lot in the winter?
Oh yeah.
I mean it's it's gas grill. It's not like you're out there making a fire in a
No, it's under the so I have it under some cover. So then so it's okay. And now when the snow comes, I got to clear up. But I'll grill. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean you do, right?
Well, we're down one grill, so we're due for an upgrade.
Who's got two grills?
Well, we have one. We have two. So we're down one. So I got to get another one. So I have to replace one because
is that first on your list?
It's on my list. But because I took in the interest of saving money, we're on the saving money theory. There's a couple things that saving money on, not necessarily worth it. I've come to the conclusion that grills are one of them. Okay?
Oh, yes,
If you're going to spend some money somewhere, right? Yep. And I always take the approach that, you know what? I can buy, for the price that they want, for the price that this manufacturer that all of us know charges for one of these things, I can buy like 3 or 4 of them. And that's going to get me the same lifespan, and that's all going to work out.
And every 3 or 4 years, I'll get a new grill.
Yep, that's right. So, Brandon, well, that is absolutely incorrect, okay? Because if you don't go, and I'm now convinced in the grilling department, if you don't spend the money, which is well worth it on the front end, good luck to you. You're throwing your money away. I have a grill right now that on the outside, you would look at that and you would say, that's a really nice grill. If you open up the lid, I think there's 6 mice living in it right now because it's nowhere near.
You just smoke those guys out.
It's nowhere near. There's no danger of it turning on, either accidentally or intentionally. Okay, it's absolutely not going. I've tried this game. I've stood on one foot, rubbed my belly, pat my head.
And it always happens at the time when you need.
Oh,
here's the steak. Yeah, we got to get ready to cook this, and this thing's shot.
Yep. So if you're in the market for a grill, my suggestion, don't be afraid. Spend the money. Spend the money. It's worth it because you know what it is? The grill is one of those things that when you want to use it, I mean, A, there's a reason you're using it, right? But B, when you want to use it, you want to use it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing worse than standing there with a platter of, of steaks all marinated, ready to roll. Got an ice cold beer right there, ready to drink, and you're in there going click, 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 click.
Now I got to put them in the oven.
Got to put everything. That's right. Which is even better. Even it's somewhat anticlimactic.
That's
somewhat
the worst.
anticlimactic.
That's the worst, right?
That's all I'm telling you.
Who wants a burger cooked on a frying pan?
Yep, that's exactly right. Yep, so delicious.
Better.
So delicious.
Better.
It tastes better. They always taste better. Yep. So just my own. So grill in the winter, great. God bless you. And if you're in the market for grill, as am I, it's about getting your money's worth. Don't cheap on the grill like I did because you end up buying 2 of them and you're still in the same boat.
Christian, when we put this on HCAT, I want you to subtitle this the grill episode, right? So we'll talk about
grill episode.
Saving for your grill. All right, I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, take
that's on your list.
That's words of advice.
Have you mailed your list?
Words of advice. No, not yet. No, I don't put a lot on my list. It's funny. You grow up. My mother all the time would say to my "Mom, what do you want for Christmas?" And she said, just a card, just
Yeah.
a card. I don't need anything, just a card.
lie.
Right? That's right. That's right. Well, I thought now as a parent, the kids come to me and they're like, "Dad, what do you want for Christmas?"
Yeah.
I do honestly turn around and say, "Guys, I get everything.
Yeah.
I get everything. Good family, good friends. I say, don't
I don't need
worry about me.
anything.
Don't
Yeah,
worry
yeah,
about me.
yeah.
Don't worry about me. Is it me being a martyr? Yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
But you're doing it. But it helps you down the road, right? It helps you because you're like, you know what? I don't need anything. Everything's so happy. All I want is for you guys to be happy,
Oh, yeah.
right? And you look like a rock star. Your grill's working. You're
yeah,
cooking
everything's
dinner.
great.
Right?
Yeah,
And
poor
everybody's-
Dad. Dad never asked for anything.
That's right.
He's the best. He's the
Yeah.
best. Let's get him a bottle of 30-year-old scotch. That would really make him happy. He loves it. He asked for
Your
nothing.
friends come
Yeah.
over. They're like, "Oh, look what I got for Christmas." You're like, "You know what I got? I didn't need anything. I
Love
just
and
got this."
affection.
Yeah.
Love and affection
I
of my
got-
family is
yeah.
all I got. Yep, that's right.
That's right. Well, I wish I got that.
Yeah, well, hey.
I wish I got that instead of my new grill.
Yep. That's right. So that's it. So if you're saving for grill, there you go. There's your message.
So back to our savings topic. All right. So the idea, we kind of covered the idea of compounding and how it's important, saving over time, how that's important. One of the things that we talked about briefly, but the idea of, okay, so Rule of 72 works as if you get a certain interest rate every single year for that many years. So if you have a CD, let's say, back in the old days when CDs used to pay, guaranteed, where you're guaranteed you're going to get 5% for the next 10 years, and that's your rate. That's not going to change, guaranteed by the federal government. So, that's pretty much a lock. If you're investing in the market and you're investing and it's over a period of time, and we mentioned earlier that the market will never, although it's possible, will never return the exact same amount, exact to the penny, every single year, or to the decimal point every single year, because it's so random.
It's an arbitrary valuation. Yeah.
Right. So what we do is we look at, an average over time. So you look at an average and, you pick any 10, 20, 30-year period and you say, okay, what's the average over that period? And what's important to look at is, and again, Jay alluded to this earlier, is how, people come in and say, I need to get, 10% per year. So if I just invest in this particular portfolio that I looked up on the internet, that will give me 10% per year, because for the last 20 years, that portfolio averaged 10% over the last 20 years. And you say, great, that's awesome. One of the, whenever we talk about investments, is we never base our future predictions on past performance.
Nope.
Because you can't, because there's no correlation. There's no correlation. And second is what 20-year period are you talking about? Because that, as we alluded to also, is the idea of timing. So if it's the last 20 years, that, last 20 years going back from 1998 to 2018, then you say, well, there's some events that happen during that 20-year period,
Sure.
right? And then you could pick any 20 years. You can go from 1945 to 1965. You could go 1902 to 1922. Any 20-year period is going to have a different. You're going to have a different outcome, right? Now, granted, as you stretch it out over time, then those outcomes tend to kind of meld to be a little bit closer together. But they're not. They're never going to be exact.
Well, and some of these planning tools that are available now, when you're talking about the power of compounding and how your money performs over time, they'll run, which I'm sure you're familiar with, they'll run those Monte Carlo simulations, right?
It makes me want to go to Monte Carlo.
And well, every time I talk about it, I feel like I should be wearing a tuxedo, or I feel like,
you should be wearing a tuxedo.
Talking about
should be
those
smoking
Monte
a
Carlo,
cigarette
that's right.
on one of those cigarette holders.
Yeah, with a smoking jacket on, because
that's right.
you got to wear a jacket
standing
when you
in
smoke.
front of a roulette wheel. Yes, that's right.
That's right.
Welcome to Monte Carlo.
But the idea behind these Monte Carlo simulations is they take exactly what John's talking about right now, and they say, look, the order of your returns makes a difference, right? And John talked about it a minute ago. If you're getting ready to retire at the beginning of when the market falls apart, and you leave all that money on the table because it's a loss, arguably there's a 10-year window there where you may not have earned anything, right? And then if you start your calculations and you say, well, I'm going to go to the mid 80s or the late 80s, all the way through, the boom times of the Clinton years and the growth in the economy, you're going to have a different outcome. And so these Monte Carlo simulations basically take all these possible orders of returns, they mix them all up, and then they get to come back to you and they say, here's the probability that you're going to get to your goal, right? And again, this is not science. This is absolutely not science.
Well, it's science, but it's not exact.
Right, that's right. It's math, but the idea that it's going to happen again, who knows? But what it does is it tells you, look, given what you're trying to accomplish, the probability that the assumptions that you've made are real is this, and there's a relatively good chance you're on track to be where you want to be. Does that mean that there does not need to be annual, revisits to the portfolio and tweaking of things? No, you have to do that. But these simulations give you a sense of, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Am I realistic in my assumptions?
Right, right. So, again, and it all falls back to, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a position where I'm assuming too much risk, or I'm being unreasonable, or I'm being like irrational in the sense that, okay, yeah, I want to, everybody would love to get 10% return or 15% returns,
all day
right?
long.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, of course I'd like to average that for the next 10 years. But again, in order to possibly do that, and the word probability is important, because in order to have that possibly happen, the probability of it happening is slim. And again, in order for you to do that, you have to assume risk. You have to assume risk where there is a possibility that you could earn 15% or 10% on average for 10 years, but there's also a possibility that you could earn much less than that. In fact, even negative numbers. And again, it all comes back with your risk reward. The more if I want to get if I want to have a higher gain, then I'm going to have to assume more risk. And by assuming more risk, then I increase the probability of this not working out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's hence the definition of risk. Like if I assume, then the risk is that this may not work out the way I expect. This may not return because of whatever market conditions that I have no way of foreseeing. I have no way of predicting. I have no way of knowing before they happen. And it just may not work out the way I expect it. And because I assume that risk, now what's going to happen is, instead of my loss being, say 5%, my loss could be 15%. My loss could be 20% because of the amount of risk that I expose myself to.
Well, and again, and somewhere baked into your simulations or baked into these probabilities, there's going to be one of those years, right? There's going to be a year where you gave back 20% of your portfolio, and then the next year the market was only up 2%, and then it was up 20%. So they will play around with these sort of these slices of reality to give you an idea of is the plan that you're sort of outlining, does it have some basis in reality? Because to use some of John's examples earlier, if you say, look, in 10 years I want to double my money, okay, but is that even feasible from a A? Do you have enough money to kind of get to your goal in 10 years? And B, do you have the risk tolerance and the understanding of what it might take to get there?
That's right. So which is a great thing to end on here is, like, what have we learned? We've learned that in order to kind of get to where I want to go, I have to have an understanding of the mechanisms that are going to take me there. And if the mechanisms are unrealistic, in other words, if I think, look, I want to get $1 million, right now I have $50,000 and I'm going to save $10,000 a year, and I want to do it in 10 years, unless I get some kind of ridiculous return on my money, then it's not going to happen. Like it's not going to happen. So I have to have a realistic approach. And Jay also mentioned the idea of that. Okay, so let's say I'm on track and my probabilities, look, I've done all these different kinds of simulations and it looks good. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way every year. So it means you got to go back and revisit it. You got to look at it. You have to tweak it. You have to say, okay, what are, you have to look at, if you have individual investments, you have to look at all those companies. You have to look at those sectors that you're in and say, is this where I need to be, or am I overweighted in one sector or in one particular company?
You got to babysit it. You got to babysit it.
And you do. And then
you got to save early, you got to save often, because as you've talked about, saving outside of your retirement account is putting away money that you can always get to, right?
Sure.
You're not tying it up. You're not putting retirement account money, can't touch it. But it's good to be in the habit of building a non-retirement portfolio to address these types of issues.
All right.
Leave it on that.
We'll leave it
on that. End of my word.
We'll leave it on that. All right. So for everybody at the tail end of Hanukkah, I hope you had an awesome Hanukkah.
Crazy nights.
I just love the whole concept of Hanukkah. So I hope you had a great Hanukkah. And for everybody else, Christmas, it's on its way. Everybody get ready. Start getting pumped up. And if there's a Christmas tailgate that you need to invite us to, you know how to reach us on www.moneyandthelaw.net.
We'll go to a party too, not just a tailgate. We'll go to a party.
Well, that too. Yeah, inside or outside. Yeah,
we do holiday parties.
Moneyandthelaw.net. If you got any questions, you got any comments, you want us to talk about anything on the show, feel free to come to contact us there. Thank you, Christian from House and Cable Access TV. And Money and Law, sign off on MyFM 101.3.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.